like whatever president that was that chopped the cherry tree and felt really bad and didn't. Is it Abe Lincoln? I'm Abe Lincoln of this office. My talent is rAVe Speak. We will be a personality or a host for different events within the industry.
One talent I fall under at rAVe is rAVe Now. People know me as the person that's gonna come shoot their videos.
My talent at the rAVe agency is storytelling. We help our clients break through the clutter and the noise in our industry.
My favorite part about my job is that every day is not the same. I love the people of rAVe.
You know, we have great people. They have a great team that really cares about what we're doing.
We have a lot of talented people.
I'm able to come in to basically any meeting and be like, hey, okay, I've got a really weird idea. Everybody just keep your comments until the end.
We go beyond just what we've done so far. We're always doing something more.
All right, welcome. Hello and welcome to the rAVe Esports Show. Thank you so much for being here today. We have got a wonderful show. This is episode 11. Can you believe it? Episode 11. I just looking back at all the shows we've had with people from Extron. We went to the Army West Point to review their indoor esports space and got to see students in the military like get ready to shoot fake guns, I guess, at the green screen. All sorts of cool stuff. Mike and Christy from Generation Esports. Man, we've had Kevin and Andrew from Extron. We've had the Neutric guy. Man, it's been so much fun. We've had Angela Bernard Thomas from Esports Show, Collegiate Sports Management Group. Jeff Palumbo, who used to be, he's now currently transitioning, but he's with Lenovo. Man, we've just had a lot of great shows. Huge shout out to Carrie Lartz and the team, Gary K, Megan and Becky, and thank you so much for this honor of this show. We are live on multiple platforms today. We are on Kick and Twitch and 2 Twitters, 2 YouTubes, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and now TikTok. As I click the button, we are live. If you are around and you got questions today, please don't hesitate to ask any questions of our guest of the show. If you want to be a guest on the show, we've got opportunities coming up in the future. Last week we sat down with Ed Haveron from the Get Real. We talked about XR and VR and I almost said multiverse because I've been watching too much Loki with my kids, and I'm trying to get them into the Marvel universe completely. But the metaverse, that's a term that we definitely are using now. But man, if you're wanting to be on the show, please hit me up. If you got questions, please, we'd love to have you. And I'm super pumped, and we're gonna have some fun today. But as we get started, as we get rolling, you can use !VEF in the chat. You can use !VEF in the chat. And there is a way you can donate directly to the Video Games and Esports Foundation. That is the charity of choice for the rAVe Esports Show. And if you donate, an alert will come up on stream and you'll be recognized. Just like if you don't know much about streaming and you're new to this and you're in the audiovisual industry, streaming kind of this world is where it's kind of like the old radio television or radio call-in show. Like, oh, hey, Tom, first time caller, long time listener. And hey, Tom, how you doing? And then you're yelling at your wife like, oh my gosh, I'm on the radio. That's kind of what happens on Twitch streaming and YouTube streaming and other places like TikTok and Instagram, where people recognize you. You have access to people like football players and athletes who are streaming on Twitch and playing games nowadays. So nowadays for many years, and they're being recognized, that access to the people. So charity choice, VEF, !VEF in the chat. You can type that in. We've got a lot of folks in today. Thank you so much over on Twitter, all the folks coming in right now, or on X. And I want to introduce our amazing guest. I've known her for quite some time. She is a stellar, amazing leader in our space around women in gaming, around anything diversity, equity, inclusion. She's been on multiple shows with me. We played some really fun video games in the past, like Final Fantasy, and I did horrible. And I definitely need to get back into that game. But I'm really excited to introduce our amazing guest for you guys today, Miss Joanie Kraut. How are you today?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
I am so excited you're here. I haven't talked to you in a while. We haven't hung out in a while. You've just been everywhere, and
Yeah.
We need to catch up, and we need to know what's going on in the world of everything video games. And I think people want to hear about what you do, what your organization is, as well as find out how they can support you. Hello, Beth. Thanks for coming in today on LinkedIn. And I mean, I'm just pumped to hang out with you, to be honest. And I think you're pretty cool.
Aw, I think you're pretty cool too.
Well, I'm trying to be like you, so I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Nice.
So
You're showing your age a little bit with the radio reference, though. Do you remember,
Yeah.
like, can you please play Alanis Morissette and then, like, waiting to hold the record and pause at the same time?
your tape
I need a
recorder,
song.
and then as we started getting cell phones, we were recording that off
Yeah.
onto our phones. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I turned 42 this year. I'll be 42. Holy crap! I'll be 42 in like a few months.
We're like grown-ups now.
I
It's
know.
weird.
Like I'm slowly getting to the other form pull-ups that I'll be using as a senior. If you guys got questions in the chat, please feel free to type them in the chat. We'll see those. I want people to get to know you a little better, and I'd love to hear. You are the CEO of Women in Games International, but I want people to know a little more about you, and so I'll always ask the same question that we've probably had multiple times: is what was the first video game you played growing up?
Oh man, my dad was really into technology and just kind of having like the latest technology, and so we always had sort of the most recent consoles, and so I always remember playing Mario. Like that was just the first thing I remember playing. But my mom was just teasing me the other day. They couldn't figure out why I wasn't sleeping when I was a baby. I was the youngest of four, and they went to put me to bed, and I just couldn't settle down, couldn't, and so they brought me into the living room and they were playing Mario, and I would fall asleep to the sound of them actually playing, and on the old NES. And so it was kind of funny, like that's my ringtone now. Like it's just like Mario's been part of my life since before I can remember. And then Tetris. My mom is hardcore at Tetris. And so just kind of those, it's almost like those songs are really like a lullaby, literally.
Right.
But my parents divorced when I was younger, and I kind of grew up without like access to technology. And so computers were really scary. And in college, I was sort of falling behind. And so I started playing a game. I had a really great friend that was like, you got to gamify it. You got to stop making it such a hard and serious topic and start using a computer in a more fun way. And so they introduced me to World of Warcraft. So that was like what I call my gateway game. That was my didn't turn back game. But that's also how I learned how to use a computer and to not put all your books on top of your tower, and because it'll overheat, and things like that. So it's been really great. Yeah. For sure. I would say Mario is my like home game, and then Warcraft is my game that sucked me in. So
have you gotten to like the new Mario, like Mario Odyssey and Mario Wonder and stuff?
Yes.
Okay. What are you liking out of all those? Which
I'm
ones?
I'm loving it all. We play a lot of Mario Kart. I have two smaller
nice.
kids, so we play a lot of like tournaments after dinner. I'm still terrible at it, but yeah, it's been really fun. That blue shell kills me.
Yeah, especially when you're at first and you're destroying everybody.
Yeah, right. And then all of a sudden you're in sixth before you cross the finish line. It's fine.
Exactly.
It's fine.
Yep,
Everything's fine.
No bitterness there.
No, totally fine.
Now, with your ringtone being Mario, do you ever like just start falling asleep because you hear your ringtone that used to put you to sleep as a kid?
It's actually my the song that plays to wake me up now. So
Oh my gosh.
It's my alarm clock.
It's
Yeah.
reversed. It's
So-
reversed. Well, it's good. It may, maybe when you retire, since we're getting so old, obviously, it'll
right.
then be your tune to put you back to sleep on your everyday naps that we take. So it's so it does. It's so funny that I haven't had an interview in a long time where somebody hasn't said I played World of Warcraft. It is very uncommon. Maybe like one last week, because the gentleman was older than us, and it is extremely common for World of Warcraft to be the gateway, gateway game drug for sure. I think is what it is, and I think we've talked about this before, but I can't remember. What was did you switch around between Horde and Alliance, or did you always stick with one faction?
I was Horde for a really, really long time, and then we had some friends that were on another server playing Alliance. So I do have both characters, but I do feel like I go back to Horde every time. So Horde is kind of my space for sure. Yeah.
Beth says we do Tetris Wars here. Oh, because I can still beat my teenagers into it. That's great. That's great. Yes, it is. I don't know, Tetris Wars. I guess if you're playing 2-player, for sure. So, yeah, I think the World of Warcraft back and forth. I've always said it is every 6 months I'll jump back into World of Warcraft and hate it, and then leave and come back 6 months later. But I love playing new characters over and over and leveling up. And I don't know if I like that with other games. Maybe that's just it's just the go-to thing. And when we played, did you play more Final Fantasy? I know we played that on stream a couple years ago.
I played it a bit. I had a large chunk of my guild kind of go that way. About a year ago or so. So we definitely tried it. But yeah, it's funny. We were just laughing about it the other day. It's like, now that I'm in the games industry, I don't have much time to game. So, yeah, but beautiful game for sure. And the music is beyond amazing. Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever had that I've played probably way too many games because of all the different things I'm into. I'm constantly just finding time to run League of Legends ARAM or a quick game of World of Warcraft, or not World of Warcraft, Fortnite. And I don't know why. I don't know why. This is the draw to me. And maybe I've always considered it research. Maybe we'll just call it that. So, I want to talk about Women in Games International. I want people to know a little bit more about what you do. We'll pull up the website and we'll talk more about it. But I would love to hear the catalysts for the organization starting, as well as your role and how you stepped into it. So what was the beginning of WIGI?
So WIGI was a panel in 2003 at GDC, and it was a conversation about being a woman in the games industry and the nuances and just kind of navigating a career. The conversation really focused on being, women were being omitted from history because they weren't being given credit and they weren't taking up the space to celebrate their accomplishments as they were achieving them. And so there was a panel in 2003. In 2004, we got together to have the same panel. And in 2005, when we got together to have the exact same panel again, 3 women went, "What the heck are we doing? We're just kind of complaining at this point. There's no change. There's no impact. We're just talking about how there's a problem." And we all agree. There's a huge, sold out panel at GDC. It's just a huge, space. So they created Women in Games International, and it was really a focus on bringing together all of the WIG, SIGs, and ERGs, so the special interest groups and the employee resource groups internationally. So creating this one massive community of women and really focusing on resources and making that change. And so that's kind of where the name comes from. So we are all of the Women in Games groups internationally. Which is really cool. When I found the organization about 5-6 years ago, we were doing 2 events a year, and that was it. So it was a networking event at GDC in San Francisco and a networking event at E3 in Los Angeles, which means we were really only catering to the upper middle class and often white women because you have to be able to afford to get there. You have to be able to afford to access this free event. And so that really bothered me, especially just because I grew up where I wouldn't have been able to afford that opportunity. So even though the space was free, the networking event was free, it was meant to encourage, just positive networking with professionals in the industry. It was really a limited resource. And so I just started pulling, I'm a data nerd. So I started pulling data, and I was like, we could be doing so much more impact. We could be making such more changes, like we could actually be creating more resources and there's so many opportunities, especially to go virtual. And the concern was, will people actually join if you do it virtually? Well, when COVID hit, so yes, they know because they need something. So In 2022, we ran 90 programs, workshops, panels, and initiatives. Basically, I like to say I got promoted because I was annoying, because I was just
Yeah,
like,
right. I
but what
remember that
if we,
story.
but what if we, and they were
Hmm.
like, you know what, just take it, just do it, just try
Hmm.
it and see. There's definitely a lot of pressure because most people didn't think we would get the funding.
Hmm.
People didn't think we would have the interest. There are multiple women in games organizations around the
Hmm.
world. So,
Hmm.
are you, what's going to make you kind of stand out? What's going to make your organization different from everybody else's? But all of our
Yeah.
programs are free to access. We have an incredible board. We have an amazing advisory board. We have so many people that want to see this change.
Hmm.
It's just been a really powerful and impactful opportunity. We ran a mentorship program for women who want to get careers in esports beyond a pro player. So there's
Okay.
marketing, there's chiropractors, there's legal, there's accounting, there's so many other opportunities
Hmm.
beyond just a pro player. And we had the highest number of male applicants ever to be speakers, to be mentors. There are
Hmm.
so many, the people want to see this change. They want to see more
Yeah.
people in the industry. They want to see more perspectives. They want to see more opportunities. And so it was really powerful. It was very kind of, you know, one really great moment to just be able to say, like, we have so many people that want to see this. It's not just women, screaming into a void saying
Hmm.
we want this change. It's allies, and it's non-binary, and it's
Hmm.
there's so many different ways that we can kind of access that and support that. So it's been really great to kind of be at the helm of helping make that impact.
How do you find that balance with your biggest push a couple years ago started with the no woman no panel, and like how do you find what is the conversation like when you have seen it multiple times because you mentioned men applying and whatnot, and it made me think of the drastic horrible social media posts with a bunch of guys who look like me, and maybe there's one person of color, or there isn't, and I I think hopefully society has changed a little bit. But what's the conversation there compared to where I think things are lightened up a lot. I think people are recognizing it more, especially with the work you've done around that no woman no panel efforts. Um, and so what's the conversation like now compared to then when it was like, oh yeah, we should, and oh, let's just shouldn't we get a token person, or let's make sure we check off the list of diversity, equity, inclusion of having some person of color or female out of these 20 people and the 19 of them men. Yeah, let's check a box. I mean, what's the has the conversation changed? Have you seen it get better? What do we need to fix? What does still need to be fixed when it comes to that kind of speaking out in the international game space with panels specifically?
Yeah, so No Woman No Panel is an initiative that focuses on, if you don't have at least 50% women, we're not going to support your panel. We're not going to support
Mm.
your speaking engagement. When we launched this a while ago, but we kind of lost traction. So I was just bringing it back because I was like, this is such a
Oh
cool
yeah.
initiative.
Yeah.
But what are we doing as an organization to support this? Because again, it's creating a free resource for somebody who can't afford a free resource. It's not just giving somebody access; it's also making sure that they have the opportunity to get there. It's travel and transportation. It's a food per diem. It's making sure you have the right clothing, things like that. So we kind of
Hmm.
revamped No Woman No Panel, and
Okay.
I actually am helping to pay to get people to conferences. So if a woman wants to go speak at a
What?
conference, women are already paid less than, which we see constantly, 18 cents less than a man. Women of color, women with disability, women with children, it's an even higher gap. So even if you had the opportunity to go keynote at GDC on the main stage, can you afford to get to San Francisco? Can you afford a hotel? Do you have the right clothing? Do you have the opportunity to really take advantage of that space and take up that space with that accomplishment? And so No Woman, No Panel is actually funding to get women to conferences to be speakers. I believe it's 90% of the women it was their first time speaking because they just couldn't afford to go, and their employer's not paying for it, and it's out of
Huh.
pocket. And 9 times out of 10, the conferences weren't paying the women. So I kind of act as like a middle ground person.
Okay.
So how has the conversation changed? I started reaching out to organizations to say, hey, that's a lot of dudes. You looking at diversity? What's going on? Wouldn't it be cool to have additional
Mhm.
perspectives on this topic? Wouldn't it be great to have
Yeah.
different voices that were able to speak to the same thing with a different experience, instead of just this echo chamber where it's just
Yeah.
three guys that look exactly alike repeating the same experience? And so it was, oh yeah, I guess so, but yeah, we can have a woman be a moderator, not a speaker. And then, well, I guess we can have a woman on a panel, but let's do one woman and we'll do three guys. Okay. So then, it was turning into, yeah, she's amazing. She's
Mhm.
incredible. Can she keynote? I'm like, absolutely she can. And I'm reaching out. I'm like, you're keynoting. Let's work on this. Let's work on this speech.
Yeah.
Like, just so you know, you're keynoting. There was also a lack of funding. There was a lot of times, well, we can't afford to pay speakers for this conference.
Sure.
Okay. So if nobody's getting paid, okay. But if one person or if five people or if just men are getting paid, there's
Right.
a problem. So having those conversations, being in a place to be the advocate, because it's so much easier to ask for something for your friend than for yourself. So, hey, you want me to offer this to this individual? Perfect. How much does it pay? Are you covering travel and lodging? And what does the rest of the stay look like? Do they have access to, to food, or do they have access to whatever? And then helping with WIGI's funding to be able to help close that gap. So, okay, you're going to pay for the plane and the hotel. Perfect. We'll do the per diem. So then
Okay.
they can go. There's, hopefully there's no reason you can't go if the expenses are kind of covered. We've seen a huge uptick in the number of women who aren't participating at conferences. We've also seen a huge uptick in the number of women who now know to ask for those accommodations. Originally, WIGI was just paying for everything, and I had a board member say, "Hey, Joanie, don't you know sometimes they pay for this stuff? You should ask them." Oh my gosh, I had no idea. So, asking and creating that mentorship of, hey, if you want to be a speaker, here are the top things that you need to know to do to advocate for yourself. And it's been a really powerful initiative. We've seen a lot of more speakers with different backgrounds and just different identities, and bringing these conversations to life. And we've also seen people go from a moderator to being on the panel to being a keynote speaker. And so it's been a really powerful initiative to just kind of empower somebody to take that next step and show them that they don't have to do it by themselves, is a really, really great opportunity. And then just, partnering with organizations like Sam Cook over at ESI, the Esports Insider. They do ESI London every year. And we were just like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if? And he goes, yes, and gave us like a space to do a safe space. Just really amazing allies and opportunities to, you never know if you don't ask. And then sometimes even when you have an idea, somebody has an even grander idea. So just kind of creating that opportunity to continue to collaborate. It's been really, really powerful for sure.
Thanks for breaking that down. That's really good to hear the conversation and the development of it. So you're saying it's now evolved. Well, it makes me think you've also got a run for 18K, run for equity coming up for the 18K. This is another one of your big programs happening right now, which I definitely love. And what's the 18? Tell us for those who don't know what the 18K represents. So you kind of mentioned earlier, but go ahead.
Yeah, so Run for Equality is a focus on the gender pay gap. So I've been wanting to do like a 5K or something just kind of community based since I started at WIGI. It's one of the biggest things that we get asked for from our community is, what can I do? I want to physically do something. I want to be part of something. And so we created this, it's 18K. So it's an 18-kilometer opportunity to just kind of support women in games, but also to raise awareness for the gender pay gap. I went to DICE in February, and this guy came up to me and he looked around and he said, look at all these women. Why is WIGI still around? Why does it still exist? Like the problem is solved. Look at all the women in the room. And I was like, that's adorable. And how much do you get paid? And how much does your first woman in your company get paid? Like, tell me the gap between you and her. It was so mind-blowing, and it made me really want to do something, like really not just run a program, but do something. And so I'm so grateful. Jennifer Yee, who's on my advisory board, and then my whole board of directors just really came together in a really powerful way. John O'Connell has been absolutely incredible. Just all of these advisors who are going, yes, and like, let's keep going, let's move this forward. So the 18K is an opportunity to either run, walk, or play your way to 18K or 18 kilometers. It's really just raising awareness for the fact that there is that 18-cent pay gap. So for every dollar a man makes, a woman makes 18 cents less. For women of color and women with disabilities and women with children, it's an even bigger pay gap. There's also research around if you're an immigrant woman, it's different as well. It's an even bigger gap again. And so it's just kind of creating that awareness that there's still a problem. We're still working on stuff. It's not all better. And there is an awareness around the fact that it's happening. We've also seen this encourage women to start talking about their pay and asking for support and asking for, raises and proving they're kind of in that space to kind of warrant that raise. But we're working with different companies. So we actually kicked off at GDC. We did a walk across the Golden Gate Bridge. We are going to end this at Gamescom. So we're actually going to do a big walk at Gamescom from the bridge to the Coliseum. So there's these opportunities to do in-person things. We also have a couple of studios that are doing things with internal teams. So they're actually going to like walk around their studio or walk from their studio to a different location with their team to just kind of help them hit that 18K. And then we are actually working with different companies. So Roblox is actually creating in-game content so you can jump in and actually complete 18K within the game. So it's creating that accessibility. There is a guild in World of Warcraft that is actually going to walk from one of the main cities to one of the side cities, just kind of make it a race and kind of help you hit that 18K as well. So yeah, it's been really amazing. It's been great to see how many companies are supporting this. We're actually about to launch a donation match. So we are, we have a lot of sponsors and companies that again really just they want to see this change, they want to see it happen, and they want to be part of it. So it's an initiative that I've been like thinking about for like 3 years, but it's really exciting to actually see it come to fruition and see how many people are so excited about it. So
I think we're excited about it. It's in the chat. You guys have put it on all the platforms. The link to donate right now and Run for Equality. Do the 82. Do the $82. Click Joanie's name and give and donate and talk to your organizations. I love that there is a Roblox and a WoW component in this. I had no idea. It just made me melt just now how amazing that is. It's funny to look at this. I'm almost burnt out because when before the games world, I was in sports commission world and I organized a large 5,000 person marathon, and we had virtual 5K, 10K marathons built into them. And I did a lot of that online and sent a lot of medals and bibs and stuff to people over the years. And
nice.
It's exciting to see it in the game space because there's been some other gaming involved kind of couch to 5K type stuff and whatnot. So this one is really, really impactful, and I would love to walk the walk on whatever city from Orgrimmar to Thunderbluff. I have no idea, whatever, in Classic, because I've walked that many a times as a Tauren druid or something. So yeah, I freaking love that. That's amazing. Let's jump into the website here, and but before we do that, I'm going to show a quick commercial break from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right.
Get future ready with Extron Esports AV technologies. Experience better looking images and higher quality sound with AV systems that are easy to control. When it comes to esports, Extron provides the winning edge. To learn more, visit extron.com/esports.
All right, so as we jump into getwigi.com, and good morning, Rugged Nerd. Yes, hello, thanks for being here. How are you, sir? I want to kind of just get people familiar with. You said 90 programs. How many programs have you done? Different types of programs?
Yeah, we did 90 programs in 2022. We did 65 last year, and I don't know the number for this year, but we're doing a lot this year.
What the whole Blizzard donation, is that like, are they going to be like, here's year 2, year 3? Is there going to be some major support that we get to hear about here first?
Unfortunately, not that I know of.
Okay.
But
All right, let me call 'em real
no,
quick.
I mean, yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. That donation made it so we could, go to actually paying employees and paying contractors. It was a really powerful opportunity for us to have a really strong R&D opportunity within programming as well. So we've tried some programming that we wouldn't have otherwise been able to afford. All of our programming is 100% free to access. So we do rely on donations, grants, and then sponsorship to really make these programs happen. And that's the only thing that stops us from running programs is a lack of funding. So we've gotten, Google grants, we've gotten Activision. Activision went through a bit of a merger. I don't know if you heard. There's a lot happening for them right now. But we're working with a lot of different companies. It's really great. Amazon has been incredible. Netflix,
Really?
there's so many companies that are really positively kind of trying to move things forward and sort of using us as that support. So yeah, if you check out programs, you can kind of see all of our programs at a high level and just click into each one. Get in the game and the virtual mentorship are really kind of our key flagship kind of programming. Get in the game, we actually pay for people who otherwise couldn't afford it to get to a gaming conference that is specifically focused on networking. So GDC is the one that we recently did. We took 10 mentees from 8 different countries to GDC. We paid for their flight, their hotel, a food per diem. And then every morning we did a mentorship session with an industry professional. So we met with Amazon Games. We did a tour of their HQ in San Francisco and had a panel discussion with their Women in Games group. We did Google. We went to a tour of their HQ in San Francisco. And again, it's just these opportunities to really get that experience and exposure. Unity was another one that we partnered with and did a tour and panel. So it's a really cool space to just kind of shatter those glass ceilings that we maybe create for ourselves sometimes, where, well, I could never work at this company. It's a AAA studio and I'm just me. And actually meeting women who are there, who are VPs and C-suite and making the change and being the difference, and like doing the thing. And so it's, wow, okay, maybe I can step into this space because I'm already here and making these introductions. So it's how do you introduce yourself in an impactful way? How do you create a conversation where you're going to get out of it what you're hoping to, instead of just introducing yourself for 45 minutes? So getting the game is really powerful. The virtual mentorship program as well, it's having conversations and getting that exposure to women in those higher level positions. We do also have every Wednesday, we have new programming. So the first Wednesday is our interview series. It's Interview the Interviewer. So it's asking questions about how do I get my resume in front of somebody? How do I stand out in front of somebody when I'm trying to apply for a role? And then we have power leveling is on Zoom. It's very specifically in a closed space. It's not recorded to have more difficult or uncomfortable conversations. Cheat Codes podcast is led by Tosh, the incredible Tosh. If you don't know Tosh, please check them out on LinkedIn. But it lives on Spotify, and it's just these conversations and just you get to kind of go inside her brain and see, what she's thinking about and getting recorded with different industry professionals as well. Power living, and then open world dialogue is the fourth one, which is an open conversation on LinkedIn Live with our community. So it's that opportunity to ask questions and really engage during a live session with somebody in the industry.
I don't think I've watched that one.
That's every second Wednesday.
Yes, Kyle. These titles are gold. I've always been jealous of cheat codes and power leveling as a name of a show. Gosh, those were good names.
We're just a bunch of dorks, so we were like, it's gotta be gaming themed. It's gotta
Yeah,
be gaming
yeah,
themed.
yeah. I love that. So lots of different programs and lots of different events that you send people to. Kind of going into the job board. I've been reading a lot about the video game crunch and the publishers and obviously we know the last 16-18 months is just tons of layoffs in the gaming space, and huge kudos to our friends out there making a big loud noise like Amir Satvat and all them, and Madison just helping people find jobs. But what you've created as well as this job board, just like you said, the mentor mentee, I think is one impressive and important need with understanding, like you said, there are jobs out there for you. And with your job board, though, I get these emails and these newsletters, and it's fun to see, and it's fun to repost these because there's opportunities. But what kind of success have you seen with WIGI and the workforce? What I guess maybe not just the workforce in finding careers, but how have you seen this pay gap, and how have you seen this conversation on panels change the conversations and change the leadership's minds about women in games and non-binary and those identify? Like what has changed?
We had a lot of conversations initially around being a woman in the games industry. So, hey, can you join a panel of other women? That checks the box, right? Because now we have an entire panel of just women. And what is the topic? We're going to talk about being a woman in the games industry. It was exhausting. It didn't, it was fun, whatever, community building, yay. But we, again, at the same time, it goes back to why we created WIGI in the first place. Like, if we're just talking about it, we're not making any change, we're not making any impact, we're just kind of complaining. So what do we do differently? So yes, I will join your Women in Games panel if I can also have a space to speak about the thing that I'm actually good at, my expertise, the thing that I actually want to do. And having somebody get up and speak about, the metaverse or AI in gaming or robotics and technology, and being a woman of color, or being a woman with a disability, or being somebody in that space that has a different perspective. And how did you get there? So our job board we established in 2015. It's been around for a while, and we work with the people who we have on our job board very closely. And so we have conversations with them. If you're in our Discord and you're applying for one of these roles, we always say call out that you applied for the role so that the person who posted it can reach out to you directly. If you have a question before you apply, send a message in the Discord and say, hey, I was looking at applying for this role. Is anybody available to review my resume? And like 9 times out of 10, the person who posted the role will say, yes, let's have a chat. And so it's an opportunity to have that community and have that mentorship and that guidance from someone who's actually in a place that can help you move forward, and in a space that maybe has that experience, who can actually sort of be that helping hand and be that next person. We always say lift as you climb, be that person to kind of help you get to the next level. We also see that, originally it was a lot of entry level roles, and now we're seeing all levels of roles. So we have everything from VP and C-suite to senior roles to we do actually still have entry level roles as well. We do have one kind of thing is that I don't want to ask a woman to do work for free. That's not my goal. I'm not just trying to get a butt in a seat. I'm trying to get someone to have a career and make a difference. So we don't have unpaid internships on our job board. And that's really important to us, that every job, if it's a job, then it should have a pay. And so that's kind of one of our biggest things. We will promote, if you have an internship, for sure, it's a great opportunity. We'll promote it in our Discord, we'll throw it in our newsletter, we can promote it on socials, but it's not on our job board because we only have paid positions on here. The other thing is we do work closely with all of these individuals who are posting. So we always say, like, if you do apply, let us know so that we can kind of help you. Or if you got an interview, let's have a chat. So it's less about it. for sure it's having the jobs there and having that experience and having the opportunity to look through all of these posts, but it's also having that Discord and having kind of that second step, which is
Yeah.
asking for advice, getting that community support, getting that opportunity to have your resume reviewed, or have, you know, maybe it's just having that one-on-one chat or a mock interview and getting people comfortable with the idea that, you know, they can apply for this role and throw your hat in the ring and see what happens.
This is I love this. I love the stance, the guidelines, then the criteria. That's actually helpful. It makes a ton of sense. So the when I think about the layoffs over the last 6 months, like we talked about, what kind of conversations have been happening in the space that you've heard about, when just the stress and the struggle of the layoffs, and what support has there been outside? What kind of conversations are happening outside just the job board you just talked about and the Discord of saying I'm applying for this? What conversations are happening in your world around the layoffs specifically? And you're obviously, it's everything you provide is programmatic and purposeful and great, but then now those conversations, what have you heard? What have you heard? What's the feeling, the sense of things going on when it comes to this layoff, the magnitude of the layoffs for the past 16 months? What's been happening? What have you been hearing?
We've seen a lot of people who are now kind of facing a really next level imposter syndrome, because it was good people doing great work that got laid off, not to their own fault. And so we've definitely seen a lot of people just kind of saying, am I even made for this industry? Is this even a space for me? Is this an opportunity that I should be kind of pursuing? We've also seen people get mad. And so we've seen a lot of revenge studios, which is just people coming together to say, I've had enough of the way you're doing it. I'm going to try it my way. And so we've seen a lot of women-led and femme-identifying-led studios kind of popping up left and right. Now, we all know that the funding is also becoming difficult within the games industry as well. So there's been a lot of just conversations around community. It's been a lot of support, a lot of, hey, I don't know what I did wrong to get fired, and having someone who is a senior in the industry be like, no, that's not how this happens. Your game launched, like, you don't really need to have a level design anymore. So it's just part of the cycle of the industry. So making sure people kind of understand that they're not alone. It wasn't just you that got let go. There are a lot of people in this space that are going through this at the same time. Having support groups, having opportunities to just have those conversations. What do I do next? Is a lot of times we'll get outreach to say, what do I do next? I don't even know. Having the opportunity to have resume reviews sessions, having the opportunity to get a mock interview. Hey, I haven't interviewed in 6 years. I don't even know what I'm doing. Okay, let's set you up with somebody who can help you with a mock interview. We also like to talk a lot about networking. Yesterday, we had an interview session and with Raiming Kuhn, who is an advisory board member and is just absolutely amazing. And she said to me the other day, she goes, I haven't actually applied for a job in about 20 years. And she switched roles several times within that span. And it's just networking and knowing people to have conversations with that will then refer you. So it's something that, you know, we really focus on is kind of the 4 pillars to career success is really having a mentor, a coach, a sponsor, and a friend, and making sure that you kind of know what each of those roles do. So, you know, a mentor at a high level will kind of tell you how they did it, and they can explain to you what their path was and how they did it and what they did. A coach can teach you how to do it better. A sponsor will speak to your accomplishments when you're not in the room. So somebody who will actually promote you and chat about you in a positive way when you're not around even. And then a friend, somebody to bitch to, somebody to talk about all of the hard things, somebody to be able to just vent, and then have your friend be like, okay, and now that that's done, let's think about what could have happened if you had approached this in a different way. You know, like just having the opportunity to kind of vent and help you move forward. And so having that community has been one of the most powerful resources that we've been able to provide to people during this time. And having people from around the world, you know, it's not just people in California. It's not just people in Washington. It's not just people in the States. It's happening everywhere. And having those really meaningful and helpful conversations around, just mental health and what to do next and how to update your resume and how to showcase what you're doing, and also teaching people to take up space. When you did the thing, post about it, let people know, make that your personal brand. Being a doer is a great personal brand. Being able to celebrate your accomplishments is something that a lot of times women and underrepresented people are told, just blend into the background, just be thankful that you have a job, just stop taking up so much space. Why are you being so loud? And so we're teaching the opposite. We're saying, no, celebrate every time you have an accomplishment, post about it, let people know, get it in front of your network, let people know the things you're working on and the things that you're excited about. Post when you just tried something in Unity and it looks amazing. Post that, show people, showcase that you just did the thing, and take up that space and get in front of people as the person who does this specific type of art or this type of work, or is a go-getter who's going to make it happen. And so it's creating those opportunities to promote yourself, promote each other, and then again, lift as you climb, which is something we always come back to. As you are getting that traction, make sure that you're kind of helping the next person behind you also get that same footing. So
you have that sticker or a t-shirt of lift as you climb?
I should.
Should
I don't.
go in your store. It needs to go in your however, when you donate or whatever, you get a sticker or a shirt.
There you go.
I like what you said about the why are you being so loud? Yes, be loud. Or it sounds horrible coming from me, obviously. But I don't know if you saw the Barbie movie and America Ferrera's monologue. Yeah. It's literally
I think
impossible.
I wrote her monologue. I think I wrote it.
I think you just did, because here it is. It's literally impossible to be a woman. Here it is. Yeah. You are so beautiful, so smart, and it kills me that you don't think you're good enough. Like we have to always be extraordinary. Not too thin, but you think thin and squash. Yeah, it's a really. I feel like I as much as Greta, directed that, and there's probably writers. She probably had something to do because she's very good at what she does, America Ferrera, and is outspoken. Yeah. But it makes a ton of sense. I had this book a long time ago, and this is a really bad dad joke, but I had this book that was everything I know about women, and it was completely blank. So hopefully now getting married, I learned a little bit, and then reading a little bit more about my wife, trying to understand. It's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna know enough. Okay, guys out there, just trust and learn and be less ignorant, right? I'm talking to all the guys out here, but being guys. So you mentioned the board of directors, and who's just like the stellar board director or advisory board member that is just absolutely killing in the space that you. Obviously, I'm making you pick favorites, so sorry. But when I look at all these board members and advisory board members here with WIGI, I just see some amazing people. Like, what do you love about these people?
It's amazing. I've worked with a lot of other nonprofits in this space, and I feel like there's always some type of an issue with the board or a board member. I'm so lucky to say I don't have any issues with any of my board members. I mean, we have the best board and advisory board. I can't even, like, I'm so excited every time I get to talk to them. We'll just put out a call and I'll be like, hey, I had an idea. The 18K, for instance, I was like, hey, I have this idea. I'd kind of like to do like a 5K or something. Yeah. And I was like, maybe we can tie it to like a number, like women are paid less than men, or and I said, here's an hour. I'm just gonna throw it on the calendar if anybody's interested in joining me in this conversation. Otherwise, I'll just work by myself for an hour. It's not a big deal. And I don't think a single person didn't either respond or show up to say, I'm so sorry I can't make it. Here are all of my ideas. And I was just like blown away. It's every time I have an idea, they make it 100 times better. Every time I have an initiative I want to do, they're like, let me help lead, or let me help get the funding, or let me help with whatever it is. And it's so many amazing individuals from so many different backgrounds, different stories, that they can bring so many different perspectives to the table. I know when I created Get in the Game, I was like, here's what I'm thinking. Basically, I grew up poor. We couldn't afford free tickets. So what if somebody else can't afford a free ticket? All these companies are offering free tickets to GDC, but people
Mhm.
still can't afford to get there. So what if we made a program that did that? And I started kind of putting it together and saying, what do you think? And Corinne Yap stepped in and said, well, if you're doing these mentorship sessions, why don't you reach out to the company themselves instead of just an individual? And so
Mm.
now we have the companies that are helping us support to actually run these mentorship sessions. And it's so powerful
Wow.
to just be able to say, hey, I want to do something. I want to
Mhm.
see this change. Here's what I'm thinking for impact, and have that many people step up and say, let me make an introduction. Let me think this through with you. Jennifer Yee literally created the if you go to our website and you go to the page for the 18K, literally just sat down and knocked it out in like 15 minutes while she was talking to me. And I just sat there going, this would have taken me at least 3 days and it wouldn't have looked half as good. So it's just having the opportunity to really learn from and get mentorship myself from people who are
Mhm.
killing it. I used to be really, really self-conscious about asking for funding for our programming.
Sure.
And it was a very much like, I'm sorry, but can we
Mhm.
maybe please have some
Mhm.
money? And then speaking with people who are in business development who are on my board, they were like, you are giving them this most incredible product that you made
Yeah.
yourself. You should be like, you're welcome. I'm asking you for money because that means you get to get your logo on it, this thing that I'm doing.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you're welcome for even allowing me to be part of this. And it's changed completely trajectory of conversations around partnerships and sponsorships and grants. And no, I cannot complain about anybody. Corinne Yap is our board chair, so we actually were joking about having bracelets made for what would Corinne do, is kind of a saying that we have when we face situations.
Mhm.
We're like, okay, don't do what I would do, what would Corinne do? And so kind of like
Mhm.
rephrasing um and moving forward. And yeah, Christina Seeley has been absolutely incredible, really stepping up and really just giving us so much advice, and has been a CEO, has been running the business herself. And so just being able to kind of learn from and take those away. I called out, John O'Connell has been an absolutely incredible mentor, and just somebody who again is an entrepreneur who's running his own business. So he knows how to kind of have those conversations, who to talk to.
Mhm.
He'll even start conversations, having that sponsor. He starts conversations about how amazing WIGI is and how a company should work with us. And
Wow.
it's having those opportunities to be in rooms that you're not even actually physically in, and
Mhm.
having people advocate for the work that you're doing, and the opportunities that the organization can offer. So and there's been so many amazing new ideas that I never would have come up with on my own, that it's been an incredible board. Yeah, I can't complain about my board. It's amazing for sure.
Well, I didn't think you had anything to complain about for sure. It was hard. It's hard to pick a favorite. I'm sure they're all pretty amazing. You do have a wonderful board. I want to finish up here. I've you mentioned a little bit about different abilities, and not just um, we talked about panels. We talked about people with different experiences, different abilities, but like inclusion in the gaming space. And I don't know how much you dive into this world, but the gaming for everyone and adaptability controllers and inclusion is important. And I think it was really looked at as yeah, we got diversity. We have a female employee. That was the old way of, sadly, sometimes still talking diversity is what people think that might mean. But it's of every ability. And so, like, when I think about inclusion in gaming, what kind of conversations are happening with you when it comes to like, obviously we know Steve with Able Gamers, one of our other nonprofits in our space, but like, what kind of conversations are happening with you and accessibility to playing games, whether it be these controllers or anything else? Have any conversations like that?
Yeah, I think accessibility in gaming is so huge. It was one of the components we really thought about too with our 18K is, what if you can't physically walk or run or ride a bike or swim?
Mm-hmm.
How do you still participate and kind of support creating
Mm-hmm.
traction for this initiative? And so that's when we came up with the in-game opportunities. So it's the idea of,
Yeah.
you're differently abled, you're not disabled. And so
Yeah.
how do we kind of change that conversation and like you said, make sure everybody feels included? I've had conversations around things like this, and I've definitely been part of different, research and initiatives and
Sure.
things like that. But I would say Bailey Vaughn is like the person who really brought accessibility conversations to my attention in a really big way. She was a mentee on our Get in the Game program at GDC last year. She's also a Google Scholar, and it's just incredible to kind of hear, she started as a high school teacher, and now she's in the game space really working towards accessibility, and what does that mean, and what does that mean for different games, because obviously a mobile game is different than a console game, is different than a PC game. So how do you make all of them accessible? How do you, there you go, there's Bailey. Amazing individual. Definitely reach out and connect with her. She's really focused on, and just kind of those conversations, but also that research. So like you said, sometimes people will be like, oh, look, we have a woman in this checkbox, so check, and now we're done. And she's really asking the deeper question, and really working with sort of, what does that mean? What does that look like? Everything from, controller accessibility for sure, to what about reading? What if you have issues with, dyslexia, or having trigger warnings? Is there a trauma response that may happen based on specific things in a game? Having those, the ESA is doing really great things with making sure that there's the right, rating on games and things like that. But they're also increasing that to sort of having those trigger warnings of it's rated this because, instead of just it's rated this, don't worry about it. And so it's definitely something that is very, great for me. I know there's conversations around like limiting how much gameplay and things like that. My middle son he's on the spectrum, so he has autism. So when he goes into Minecraft, he will build something that he just thought of and just build it like perfectly. It's amazing. It's incredible to see the things that he's created from his mind. And so I think that there's a lot of conversations right now around what is the right approach and what is kind of the best way to move forward. And there's a lot of conversations around how do we do this in a sustainable way as well. So it's not just kind of creating one thing for one person and then checking that checkbox and walking away. It's actually creating different opportunities for multiple people with different, things that they're trying to kind of cope with. So I'm all for it. I'm very excited to see the conversations. I don't feel like that existed when we were kids. I feel like, we've definitely evolved as an industry, and there's still so much more that we can do. And bringing gaming carts to kids in hospitals, and having these opportunities to create normalcy when everything feels like it's beyond repair is a really, really powerful initiative for sure.
Well, Joanie, I want to give you the last 60 seconds to promote anything and talk about how people can donate or share your socials, or you could talk about data if you want to, because you're a data nerd and you like whatever you want to talk about.
Wow.
So I'm going to give you the seat and the screen, and you get your 60 seconds to talk about whatever.
Awesome. Thank you. You can check us out at Get WIGI on most major platforms. We are also getwigi.com if you want to check out our website. We are always looking for speakers and mentors and just people who are volunteering to support getting more women, non-binary, and femme-identifying people in the games industry. So we really depend on our allies as well. We are truly an organization for everybody. We want to see equality, not sexism against men. So we are trying to just really normalize the playing field. So if you head to getwigi.com, go to our Get Involved page, and you can sign up to volunteer, to become a sponsor, or to donate. We always appreciate donations. Our 18K is 18 kilometers of super fun, but we're really trying to raise the awareness for the gender pay gap. So please do check out getwigi.com and join us on our mission to make change.
How different is our lives from the first time we probably were on a show together? Like many years ago, or panels, or we hung out at PAX or whatever it was, PAX East. It's a different world we live in, and you are changing it. You are definitely changing it. So thank you for what you do.
Back at ya.
Well,
I definitely say less now, so that's good.
Did you do like some Toastmasters challenges?
No, I should have. I just kept getting asked to talk. So.
Well, we use a lot less when we're passionate about what I've noticed, especially my wife, when she gets on stage at church and she hates doing it, but when she's talking about something she's passionate about, it's there. But if it's making up as you go, a lot of So that's everybody. I think you're just passionate about a lot of stuff.
Thank
and you
you.
probably trained it out of you as much as we all have tried. Well, awesome. If you want to stick around the control room, I'm going to shut the show down and I'll be right back there. But thank you again for coming to hang with me and talk about all this amazing stuff today.
Sounds good. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for coming today. Joanie's amazing. If you don't know her, get to know her on LinkedIn and other socials, but definitely check out WIGI, getwigi.com. I encourage you to go right now to donate. And there's a lot of people, there's like 15 people watching right now still. So please go to getwigi.com and check on the programs, or at the top there is a spot where you can find the 18 about the Run for Equity. So thank you guys so much. Big thanks to Gary V, Carrie Lartz, you guys at rAVe for the show, and who are big sponsors, Neutric and Extron. We will see you here in a couple weeks on our next show. With more information coming out, check out your socials as we have more rAVe Esports Show with me, your host, Bubba Gaeddert. Thanks so much. Bye.
Get future ready with Extron Esports AV technologies. Experience better looking images and higher quality sound with AV systems that are easy to control. When it comes to esports, Extron provides the winning edge. To learn more, visit extron.com/esports.
Thank you very much.